have some really interesting articles today. From China plus one strategy to caste census to Proba 3 mission. All these articles are very interesting as well as very important. So let's start our daily news analysis with these articles. Firstly, some motivation. These quotes are not given just for the sake of reading, but to understand and implement. The quote says, obstacles do not have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. See, we have observed one thing whenever we get into something. Let's say a person has started UPSC preparation, or a person has started a YouTube channel, or got into a job, whatever is the stuff. If that person gets into something new, something challenges, in that case, the new challenges that will come up will seem to be very difficult. The person might feel it is impossible for him to go ahead with these things. But at that point of time, when you are getting such obstacles, you don't need to give up. You should figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. So whatever challenges or obstacles are there, you have to find out the solution. You don't need to run away, even if it seems impossible. You have to go ahead with it. This is the way through which you actually achieve success. Okay? So with this motivation, let's start our daily news analysis. Before that, a key notification from Narayana IS Academy. Here we have two different courses for the students preparing for the 2026 examination and students for preparing for 2027 examination. So 1 year prelims cum mains integrated course, 2 years prelims cum mains integrated course. This course is designed in such a way that your entire syllabus for pre-mains will be covered comprehensively. There will be somewhere around 800 hours of GS and CSAT lectures, 200 hours of current affairs lectures. Then you will get so many stuffs. For example, for all these subjects, you will be getting GS navigator books, you will be getting NCRT navigator books. Then you will have a micro schedule with you wherein the entire syllabus of UPSC has been deconstructed. So here you will have each and every detailing, and that detailing will be covered as part of our syllabus over here. We have expert faculties who will take care of everything, and you will be tested weekly. So you will be getting up with more than 4,000 prelims questions, more than 1,000 mains questions through this test series. Overall, these are the kits you will be getting, which I talked about, GS Navigator book and all. Then you will have digital resources, digitally you can even get your answer copies checked. All these mechanisms will be available. And for the current affairs part, we have this monthly Navigator magazine, which will be very handy for you. Okay, so let's start with our articles. These are the articles for the day. First article is related to caste census. It is being questioned whether the caste census is going to be useful or not. Second article is related to cash transfer scheme. In recent times, we have seen many political parties coming up with some promises related to such cash transfer scheme. For example, recently we saw Maharashtra election, Jharkhand election, wherein the women constituency is being influenced. They are being promised or they are being given some amount of money in the form of cash directly in their bank account. So this is being questioned over here. Then, just a second. The third article is related to China plus one strategy. Niti Aayog in its report has given some comment on this, so we'll understand that. Then Nepal and China has recently signed a deal. This deal is related to Belt and Road Initiative, so that is important for us. Then one of the important article which was published in The Hindu by Harsh V. Pant related to West Africa, specifically Nigeria. So India-West Africa relations are being discussed over here. Then Proba 3, this has been launched recently by ISRO. So this is also being discussed. And the last article is related to Global Plastic Treaty. We had covered this topic earlier in daily news analysis, right? So these 7 topics for today. So let's start with the first one. Caste census. Is the topic important? Yes. You can relate this topic with GS paper 1, Indian society, where this population is clearly mentioned as part of syllabus. When you study population, you study the census. And when you study census, there is one angle, that is of caste census. Also, this part becomes important for your GS paper 2 also, where we discuss about mechanism, law, institutions for our vulnerable population. Okay, look at this previous year question. Has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate your answer with illustrations. So has caste lost its relevance? See, when we are conducting caste census, that means it doesn't seem caste has lost its relevance, right? Now let's see what's exactly happening. In recent times, in last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, continuously we get some voices, especially from opposition parties. They are demanding caste census because since a long time the caste census is not being conducted, and the parties are saying we need a caste census. The calls are coming from opposition party leaders, coming from NGOs, and even recently RSS. This group has also claimed that has also started talking about caste census. Overall, I'm trying to tell you that politically a very debated topic this has become. So caste census is highly important for us to discuss. Now, first of all, please understand what is census. Simply, whenever you have a particular population and you want to study that population, let's say we have India. In India, there is 140 crore population. So if we want to study this 140 CR population, what are we going to study? Let's say we want to know how many male are there, how many female are there, or we want to know how many people are below 25 years of age, how many are 60 above. So when you are studying statistically your population, you're going into those details, then what you need is census. Census is nothing but a comprehensive data which you have collected. So officially, some people from government, they will reach out to the households, families, and they'll get everything written down on a particular document. So for example, they'll check how many people live over here, what they do, all that data will be here. Now, do we have such data? Yes. We conduct census every 10 years. So we say decadal process goes on in India. And this is not for the first time we are doing. This is happening since the British era. So the first such census took place in the year 1872. After that, it took place in 1881. And from 1881 onwards, every 10 years, we see such census taking place. So 1891, then 2001, sorry 1901, then 1921. This is how things were going on. Now the point is, when you look at this census, first question arises, who will conduct this census? Is it central government or state government? The answer is central government. And why central government? Because if you look at the 7th schedule of the constitution, it clearly mentions about census and it is added in the union list entry number 69. That means it is the parliament and it is the central government which will have authority to go ahead with any kind of census. So parliament brought a law. That law is Census Act 1948. And that act specifically provides the power to the executive to conduct this census. So right now, whatever census is being conducted in India, that happens under Ministry of Home Affairs. Under this ministry, we have this particular office called Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. This office is responsible for conducting census throughout the India. Okay, so factually very important point we must know. Okay, now moving ahead, let's talk about caste census. We understood census, that will be having information about demography or information about population. Now, when we are getting information about population, if we start adding the data related to caste in it, then it will become caste census. Let's say you're taking information related to age, the sex, and other details. For example, your economic status, what assets you have. If we start adding caste in it, so caste or subcaste or any such data, then we call it caste census. Now, in India, in the year 1931, that is in British time period, This was the last year when we actually conducted a comprehensive caste census. That means in the census, caste details were clearly mentioned. So this was last in 1931. After that, it never happened. So what happened after independence? So from 1951 to 2011, if you look at this time period, Government of India only ensured that SC and ST community data is there in the census. So they conducted caste census, but it was not a complete or comprehensive caste census, a very limited one. Apart from SC and ST, no other data was included in this time period and no other data was published by government. Now, if you look at 2011 caste census, specifically the name is 2011 socio-economic caste census. In that year, what government did, apart from SC and ST, they also included data related to OBCs. But the interesting point is, government refused to publish this data. They did not publish data related to OBCs. So this is very interesting. And now government is saying, now the stance of government is, we are not going to go ahead with any comprehensive caste census in future. They are saying we'll only include data related to SC and ST and no other data will be included. Now there is a political angle to this, why this is happening. Because when you provide data related to caste in a comprehensive manner, then that angle can influence politics to a great extent. See, in India, you have identity politics. For example, one of your identity is religion, one of your identity is caste, and many people vote on the basis of their identity. So, if such a data is provided, then there is a chance that those political parties who get vote in the name of caste, they may get more benefit, political benefit out of it. This was being considered over here. Now, is this caste census important? Although government is not conducting it, we are questioning, is it really important? Should we conduct any caste census? The answer is yes, to some extent, which we will get from our constitution itself. If you read this article 340, it says appointment of a commission to investigate the conditions of backward classes. So constitution is saying that we have to ensure that the backward classes, their condition needs to be investigated, right? And we will investigate, we'll do go ahead with some welfare mechanism for them. But that is possible only when you know who are these backward classes. And when you say backward classes, it includes socially backward classes also. So in society, who is backward, who is marginalized? In India, caste system is existing since years, and the caste system many a times decides who will be at margin. So those who are at the lower level of this caste system, or those who are even taken out of it, the untouchables, overall we can call them socially backward, and for them something has to be done. This is what your constitution is saying. That means you have to conduct caste census to get the data at least, right? Then affirmative action programs we have. So you must have read about reservation. So we already had this reservation in the parliament, in the state assembly, for SC and ST. For OBC also some kind of reservation is being introduced. For EWS also some reservation has been introduced in government job, education, etc. Now these are affirmative actions, and these are coming from the constitution itself. So we are saying, when we want such actions, affirmative actions or reservations, and we are evaluating these reservations, for that also we require caste related data. Let's say you want to give reservation to a community, for example Maratha community in Maharashtra. But to give that reservation, you will have to prove that that community is very backward. And to prove that, you need to conduct some caste census, some data is required. So here we are saying that these constitutional angles make it important. Then there is a ceiling on reservation brought by Indra Sani case. Indra Sani case judgment says that the reservation should not go beyond 50% of the limit. But there are many state governments who have given reservation more than 50%. Let's say Tamil Nadu or maybe Haryana also. Now, when they are giving such reservation, whether they are doing something good or whether they are going against this principle, if we want to evaluate that, what we want is whatever reservation is provided above 50%, is it given only to the marginalized sections? And how we'll know that? We have to first conduct this caste census. Okay. Then caste as being very important institution. For example, if a person is getting married, first the family members will look for the caste. So the social relations or social life perspective shows that caste angle is very important. And if you want to know who is marginalized in the society, you will have to look for caste and not just his or her economic status. Okay. Now next is administrative imperative. See, when you are looking at it from the administration's perspective, administration wants accurate data to come up with a good policies, to come up with good administration. Let's say I want to make a good policy for the marginalized section of India. But if I don't know how many people are marginalized, how will I do that? So, if you want data driven policy, evidence based strategy to solve issues, then you need data, right? So, you need caste census. Then there is angle of morality, wherein we are saying that if there will not be any kind of caste census which is being taken up, we'll not know who is taking benefits, who is taking benefits of all these mechanisms which are established. For example, right now we are talking about subcategorization of OBCs. Why? Because it is being said that the reservation which is given to OBCs, let's say OBC or even SC, they are given reservation. But we observed in the SC community itself, there are only one or two or let's say three castes or subcastes who are getting benefit of reservation. All the remaining castes which are part of SC, they are not getting any benefit out of it. And how will we come to know about it? For that again we need data. So morally it is not correct when we are giving reservation to entire SC community. It should go to each and every person, but it is not reaching out. There are some elites in that group who are taking advantage, who are taking benefit, and the distribution which should have been very much equitable, that means everyone should have got that opportunity in equal form, this is not happening. So this is morally incorrect. Okay. Then political imperative. Political means right now we are observing many opposition parties are demanding that there should be caste census. People are arguing they need caste census. So in democracy, we need to do what democratic governance expects us to do, or what democracy, when we say democracy, it is demo or people. What people want, that should come up. So if people want caste census, it should come up in a democratic form, right? So overall, this is why we are saying caste census is important. But now the point is, what are the issues with caste census which is making it very much controversial, very much debatable? Why many people are saying we should not go ahead with caste census, or there are some issues. The first issue is said to be casteization of politics. This term is very important. So if you look at politics in India, if that politics is being shaped completely by the caste, then we call it casteization of politics. That means in politics, what happens? There is a political party who comes up, who goes for election, who tries to get as many votes as possible. So for that, they will bring some kind of ideology. So all this is part of political strategy. But when caste plays a key role in this, we call it casteization of politics. For examples, when a political party will be formed, that party will be focusing only on a particular caste. So it will be a party of a particular caste. Then whatever promises they will make only for their caste only. So they'll not look at issues faced by entire India or all the people of India. So national issues will be sidelined. For example, poverty is a national issue. Unemployment is a national issue. This is faced by everyone. But when casteization is happening in politics, that means political ideology, political strategy, everything will depend on the caste itself. So what will happen after that? After that, there will be another phenomena, that is politicization of caste. So as a result, what political parties will start doing, they will start creating vote banks from caste. So there is a caste group, let's say there is a particular caste, let's say caste 1, A political party will look this caste one as a block. They will make some promises to these people who belong to this caste, that we will give you reservation, we'll give you this, and they will consider them as a block, that the entire block will vote for us. So this is how politicization of caste will take place. We'll observe many political parties who showcase that they are only interested in giving benefits to a particular party. So overall, we are saying that the face of politics is completely changing when we conduct caste census. So if you conduct caste census, there will be data available related to caste. These political parties will take this entire data and misuse it for the sake of their own politics. Okay, they'll say we want reservation for this community, we want reservation for this particular caste, and such demands will keep on increasing. Such demands will decide the narrative. Okay, this will happen. Then what additional will happen? Social exclusion might increase. See, there are some people who are already marginalized. They are already not part of the mainstream society. And when you conduct caste census, it shows that exclusion very clearly, and it further increases that divide because it creates a sense of us versus them. It feels like they are different, I am different. And the caste census as data is also showing that these people are very elite, I am very lower, or I'm middle class person or whatever. The caste data will show all this information, wherein different castes will have different status. Okay, then social fragmentation that might happen. So let's say there is one particular caste. In the caste itself we have subcastes. So sometimes these castes or subcastes fight among each other, and nowadays that fight starts for the sake of reservation. So one community might fight with another, and such conflicts might increase in future as soon as there is a caste census. Right now we do not have caste census, still we have such conflicts. When caste census will come, such conflicts might increase. For example, there is a conflict in Telangana, Malla versus Madiga. Such conflicts might increase, and this is why government is little bit apprehensive about caste census. Then if we talk about constitutional vision, what our constitution actually wanted. Our constitution imagines Indian society as a casteless society, a society where there won't be any caste hierarchy, rather we'll have equality, we'll have social justice. So when you want complete equality, you want that caste should not be having any influence on Indian society. But when you are conducting caste census, you are further exaggerating things or increasing it. So caste will not go away with if you are conducting caste census. This is one of the argument. And at last, there is some methodological problem. It's not very easy to conduct caste census. See, even when Britishers tried to conduct caste census, they did not do it perfectly. Even we are not in a position to do it perfectly, because defining what is caste, defining what is subcaste is very difficult. One caste might seem upper caste in one state and might seem lower caste or middle caste in another state. So the status differs, and it is a very complex task. Sometimes we have seen some particular caste groups, they claim that we do not belong to lower caste, we belong to upper caste, right? And there are some caste who say that we belong to lower caste. They are claiming it. Although when you enumerate, you might say that this is caste A which belongs to an upper caste. Government decided that we will have this list. But later on, people from this caste, they go to government and say we do not belong to upper caste, we are lower caste. Why? Because if we say we are from lower caste, we might get some reservation. So this kind of thing is happening, because of which we are saying that caste census, conducting this caste census is going to be very tough, is going to be a very complex task. Now many of you might be confused. If caste census is not being conducted since a long time, then why do we hear such news wherein some state governments say that they are conducting some kind of a caste census? Well, they are not conducting caste census, they are conducting caste survey. So you must have heard about Bihar, Jharkhand, or many other state governments, they conduct caste survey. It's a survey. Survey means you just go to people and ask about their opinion on something. That is survey. That is not census completely. And they cannot even do this. State government cannot go ahead with caste census because it lies with the central government. We talked about it, right? It is part of union list. So they lack any kind of legal backing to go ahead with caste census. Whatever they do is only a survey. Then we have a report by Parliamentary Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment, which came in the year 2020. The report clearly says that the 2021 census, which was supposed to be conducted, it should include the caste angle. So caste census should be part of this 2021 census. This is what the report said. But interestingly, because we had COVID-19 pandemic, government delayed this process of 2021 census. So it was supposed to be done in 2021, but it was not done. Now later on, COVID-19, we have recovered from COVID-19, but still government has not yet gone ahead with this census. And we don't know how, when they are actually going to go ahead with it. We are still waiting for any update from government, right? Now, we know all the issues. Let's discuss some solutions or a way forward. What all can be done? First, we can amend this Census Act of 1948. Why do we need to amend it? We said that earlier government was enumerating only SC and ST community in the census. Later on they did it with OBC but did not publish the data. Now government is saying we are not going to include OBC now, only SC ST will be included. This shows that central government is deciding what to do and what not to do whimsically. They are deciding on their own. There is some arbitrariness. And we don't want that government to become arbitrary. Government should be responsible and accountable. So what we need to do is amend this particular act and make this caste enumeration mandatory in the act itself. That means when central government is conducting census, they should include caste angle in this. Okay, this can be first thing. Second, you're seeing that the process is very complex, very complicated, very difficult. What we can do is we can involve some experts, let's say some sociologists, anthropologists. We can take their view. When you are drafting that particular list, we can take help of these experts so that you can properly define these castes, subcaste and all. Then a detailed questionnaire can be developed. For example, if you have a list of different questions, if you ask these questions at local level to people, then you will get to know the exact details about their caste, subcaste, their community in detail. Okay, then you can make use of technology also. For example, you make use of artificial intelligence, you make use of blockchain, through which you can get the details and there will be accuracy. Whatever data comes up, it will be completely accurate if we make use of technology. And at last, we need a nationwide dialogue on this caste census or caste angle. We need that there should be public awareness through which there will be political will which will be generated. And finally, we'll see caste census, because please understand, just because there are some issues, just because some politicians or political parties are going to make some misuse out of it, it is not the right thing to say that we should not have caste census. If we want that good policies should come out, if we want that there is welfare of the marginalized community, for that we need such data, and that data can enhance our capability to go ahead with good governance. So we need caste census. Only thing is we have to ensure that it will not be misused to that extent. Okay, I hope you understand this particular topic. Now, before moving ahead with the next topic, again one of the notification from Narayana IS Academy, we have a special program called Samvad. In Samvad, we start some conversation with some personalities. For example, this time on 10th December 2024, the timing 10:30 to 12, we will have conversation with Dr. Jay Prakash Narayan. He'll be he'll be discussing this issue of freedom, equality and justice for all. So I would recommend all of you to go ahead with this session, you will be getting some QR code on the screen. Through that, you can register for this particular session. Okay. Now, let's move ahead with the second topic. Okay. Second topic is related to cash transfer scheme. Now, we said that whether it is Maharashtra election, whether it is Jharkhand election, we're getting this news that governments have been announcing some kind of schemes which are cash transfer schemes. So this article is discussing that part. So cash transfer scheme or this direct benefit transfer, this is important for you to study as part of prelims or even mains. In mains, GS paper 2, as part of governance, as part of this government policies and interventions, this topic is important. Okay. Now look at this previous year question. Reforming the government delivery system through direct benefit transfer scheme is a progressive step, but it has its limitations too. Comment. Okay. Now this is a very broad question, but it has clearly asked about direct benefit transfer scheme. So this is the thing we are going to discuss in this article also. Okay. Now look at this. We said right now there is a growing political trend. Many political parties from different states, they are trying to influence women. They want that women should vote to our party, and for that they are coming up with some schemes through which they directly transfer some amount of money to the bank account of some women, some or all the women, we can say. Now this is something happening throughout India. Specifically, to give example, the recent thing that happened in case of Maharashtra and Jharkhand election. In Maharashtra, we have this Mukhyamantri Majhi Ladki Bahin Yojana. In Jharkhand, we have Mukhyamantri Maiya Samman Yojana. Right? In these schemes, some amount of money, whether the amount is very big or small, doesn't matter. Let's say the amount is only 1,500 rupees, which is being sent directly in the bank account of a woman. Then we are talking about such cash transfer scheme. Okay. Now, why this is happening? Why such schemes are becoming very common in India right now? Because earlier this did not happen. It is happening in recent times. The first reason is increased female voter participation. You see, earlier women participated in voting. Now also they participate. But if you see the trend, in the year 1962, women participation was 47%, less than 50%. And in the year 2022, it is 66%, more than 50%, 66, you can imagine. That means, as part of elections, if a political party looks at women now, they think that it is a constituency for them. We have to bring in something to influence them, right? Then, if you look at electoral strategy, whenever a party makes a strategy for the elections, they want the results, they want that the women or any constituency should vote for them. So what they look for, a short term solution, anything that seems visible to these voters that can bring them some votes. So what they do is they just give a promise or they come up with some scheme wherein they provide some amount of money in the bank account of women and say that, see, we have done something and we are committed to do this, so you should vote for this party, right? So these are short term solutions, these are populist policies through which they get easy votes, we can say. But there is one important angle which we cannot miss, and that is direct benefit transfer mechanism. Earlier, we did not have this mechanism. It is available now with us. And that is the reason parties are in a position to make such promises to people. They are in a position to send amount in the bank account of people. So, we'll discuss what is this direct benefit transfer mechanism. So in the year 2013, this initiative came, but it took a substantial time for it to actually get concretized. So direct benefit transfer is simply that whenever government wants to send some amount of money in the bank account of a person, government is in a position to do this thing. So for that, first you need a bank account, then you need Aadhaar linked bank account. Aadhaar linkage should be there so that government can identify that beneficiary. So entire mechanism has to be established. Earlier people did not have much, there was no Aadhaar card as such earlier, and people did not have even bank accounts accessible. All these problems were there. And if you go back in the history, especially at the time of Rajiv Gandhi, he used to say that if I send 1 rupee from here, then it doesn't reach to the beneficiary as 1 rupee. It reaches in the form of 16 paisa. So where this remaining amount is going, that remaining amount is going as a part of corruption. So when central government allocates some fund to a particular scheme or something, the same amount does not reach to the people whom they should have been got. Actually, that amount should have been reached to that particular person, but that doesn't happen. That was the time of Rajiv Gandhi. But right now, because of the technology, we have Aadhaar cards, we have this digital technology, we have bank accounts which are linked, because of which we are in a position to ensure that if government is sending 1 rupee, that exact 1 rupee reaches to that beneficiary. Okay, and this is possible because of this direct benefit transfers. So first of all, what it did is it reduced corruption. It brought some transparency in the system, and it has a clear mechanism. Whoever is beneficiary, the amount will go to that person only. It will not happen that government thought that they will give money to person A and the amount has gone to person B. This will not happen, right? So targeting beneficiaries accurately, and administrative burden is reduced. It's not like earlier money used to come from the central ministry to the state level, then to the bureaucrats, different hierarchies, and then to the person. This is not required. You don't need to go through entire process. You will directly give money to the person itself, right? So all this is being done through DBT in short. So there are lots of benefits which you can read directly. These are very easy things to say. For example, electronic transfer benefits. You'll have the bank accounts. There will not be any delay in payments. Government sends the amount today. You'll get that amount today itself, or let's say tomorrow. It will not happen. You will get that amount 2 years after this. No. Then accurate targeting of beneficiaries. Then there won't be any duplication also. Earlier, when bureaucracy used to distribute something, many times we saw duplicate beneficiaries, bogus beneficiaries being added. So this will not happen because we have Aadhaar card mandatory system. Aadhaar will check whether the person is the authentic person or not. So that system is available. So overall, all these things are happening. Now, what have we achieved through this DBT, direct benefit transfer? First of all, the data shows that till the year 2023, if you see the data, the bank accounts which have been opened under this Jan Dhan Yojana scheme are around 53.13 crore. So around 50 crore people opened their bank account. Isn't it a good thing? This is part of your financial inclusion. Then out of 53, 29.56 crore are women. So don't you see women empowerment to a good extent through this DBT program? We see that. If you see how much amount of money government has sent to people, so the total transfer till now is somewhere around 28.64 lakh crore. So 28 lakh crore, you can imagine the amount. So this is our achievement. We have successfully done this. And if you look at this DBT being used across ministries, it's not like there is only one ministry or one department who is using this direct benefit transfer program, but almost all the ministries are using it. So almost 318 schemes are launched across 53 central ministries who are using DBT, who are using direct benefit transfer. So a very good initiatives we can say till now. Now there are some global examples. There are some examples around the world which are very much similar to what we are doing. Okay. One example is from Brazil. The name of their program is Bolsa Familia. It doesn't matter whether you know this name or not. I'm just trying to give you example, a comparative example. So they have a conditional cash transfer. See, when you transfer cash, amount of money directly in the hands of people, then it is of two types. One is conditional, another one is unconditional. Unconditional means you send the amount and you forget it. That means you're not saying anything to the people or citizens. You're just sending the amount. Let's say government is sending 5,000 rupees to farmers, right? They're not saying you have to do something. No, they are just sending the amount. This is unconditional. But sometimes conditional cash transfer can take place. There will be some conditions assigned. For example, government might say that if you send your children to school till 10th standard, then we will put some amount of money in your bank account. So only if you do this thing, then only we'll give you money. Otherwise, we'll not give you. This is kind of conditional cash transfer. So if you look at some global examples which we are talking, Brazil is having conditional cash transfer scheme. Whereas if you look at Kenya, give directly the name of the program, it is unconditional. And as far as India is concerned, in India we have conditional as well as unconditional programs. Sometimes government gives money without any conditions, sometimes government puts some conditions. So both are there. Okay. Now, there are some challenges which you should know. For example, if you're giving money directly in the hands of people, it is a kind of short-term solution that you're trying to find. This is not going to solve the core issues that exist. People are poor, poverty will not go away. There is social inequality that will not go away. People do not have education, do not have health. These core issues will not be solved even if you give some amount of money in their bank account. So it's just a kind of short term solution. Let's say COVID-19 has come, so for short term you have given them some benefit, that we can understand, but issue is not solved. Second, people will become dependent on government. If we start providing money directly in the hand, they'll become dependent, they'll not go for long term solutions. And there are some exclusion errors. For example, government says Aadhaar linking is mandatory. Sometimes that linkage doesn't happen because of some issues, some documentation issue or something, because of which government does not provide that amount to that person, but he deserved to get that. He or she was a marginalized person. So sometimes we are not in a position to do the welfare in the right way because of these errors, the technological or bureaucratic errors that are made in this. Okay. Then there can be a solution in the form of some alternatives to this cash transfer scheme. One solution is to go ahead with some infrastructure development. Infrastructure in terms of transport, education, health. When we build infrastructure, people will be empowered. Then they'll earn on their own. You don't need to pay them. Okay, just build the infrastructure. You can give them skill. If you teach them something, they will earn on their own. There is a saying, don't give fish, teach them fishing. So if you teach them fishing, that is if you give them some skill, they'll earn their money, no need to do anything else. And at last, even if you want to come up with something, instead of giving them money, let's give them some employment. Let's say we have this Manrega scheme through which government provides job to people who are living in the rural area. Now, such schemes are better than providing direct amount in the account. Let's give them job. At least they, whatever money they will have, they'll earn it with dignity. Okay. So this is the entire article related to cash transfer scheme. I hope you understood. Okay. Now we have some small articles. One related to China plus one strategy. Very important, I'll say. Okay. It's part of your international relations, part of your economy. And this China plus one strategy is specifically important for India, who is having this Make in India project, who is thinking about becoming one of the largest economy in the world. Very important for us. Look at this previous year question. China is using its economic relations and positive trade surplus as tools to develop potential military power status in Asia. In light of this statement, discuss its impact on India as her neighbor. Okay, just take a moment and try to collect any point if you can think about related to this particular question. Okay, just 1 minute. Okay, done. Now, let's move ahead with the article. Niti Aayog has recently published this report, Trade Watch report. In this report, they talked about India's China plus one opportunity or strategy, and they are saying India is not much successful, or we have seen very limited success in this strategy or in this opportunity. Okay, this is the news. Let's see what is this strategy. We know about China that China is considered to be the factory of the world, because whatever manufacturing takes place in the entire world, most of it takes place in China. So how the things work, there is a global supply chain which has been developed. So in that chain you will see that the design is, let's say we are designing a product, I'm having a multinational company, so I will design my product from America, I will manufacture it in China, I might assemble it in India or some other country, the customer service will be provided by Philippines or India, then that product will be sold in Europe, right? So this kind of mechanism is established in this world. Now, this is global supply chain which includes everyone, all the organizations, all the people, all the activities, everything related to the production, distribution, everything related to all the goods and services. So whether you are buying iPhone or whether you are buying any other service, anything will have some source. We are saying maximum manufacturing part is done from China. That's why we call it world factory. But when COVID-19 pandemic took place, we saw that the world became very vulnerable. We saw the entire global supply chain got disrupted. We saw how China took some very heavy actions, after which, means for example, they had this lockdown, very strict lockdown and many other things. The entire world realized that depending on China, especially only for this manufacturing part, when we depend only on China, we don't have any other alternative. It is very risky. Let's say we'll have one more pandemic, or we'll have any other disaster, or we'll have a war with China, or anything. Anything might happen in future. And we are very vulnerable because we are so much dependent on China, and that is risky. So many countries thought about it, especially the MNCs, the multinational companies. They decided that they'll have to go ahead with a strategy that is called China plus one strategy, wherein they thought that what we will do is, even if we have a manufacturing plant in China, we'll try to diversify it. We'll try to have some alternative options available so that we'll not be only dependent on China. Let's say they have a manufacturing plant in India, one plant in Vietnam, or let's say Malaysia. So in that case, they will not be completely relying on China. So this is a strategy. So MNCs wanted to come out of China and reach out to other places, but they'll not go to America or let's say Europe, because the cost of manufacturing would be relatively very high over there. So they need that, just like China, who can produce something at very less cost. They need that, but they don't want to rely only on China. So this is the strategy. So the best places for them would be India, Vietnam, Thailand, Bangladesh, Malaysia, etc. Now India thought it's a good opportunity. If someone is coming out of China, they might reach to India, because even we have Make in India plan and all. But the report is saying Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia and Malaysia, they have got benefit of this China plus one opportunity, and India did not have that much benefit out of it. Why? Because in these countries, you will have cheaper labor as compared to India. Then their tax laws are very much simplified as compared to India. Then the tariff or the tax which is there in their countries, it is relatively lesser, which is applied to MNCs, and companies obviously want less tariffs, less taxes. And there are some free trade agreements. So there are some countries over here who are having free trade agreements with the larger countries like USA and all, because of which we are saying these countries are benefiting and India is not benefiting. Then US China trade conflict is going on since a long time, especially when Donald Trump was there. Now Trump will come back and we will see again this US China tussle taking place. So India needs to think about it, how we can make this kind of incident a good opportunity for us. Then some other information is also given in that report. For example, India's iron and steel industry, it is facing some challenge. We try to export iron and steel, but what China does, China's iron and steel costs very less, and they are dumping that in the international market. So nobody is interested in buying India's iron and steel. Apart from that, European Union brought this particular law, CBAM, and through this they are applying somewhere around 20 to 30%, 35% of tax on such industries like steel industry. So our industries are facing challenge. Then these countries like Malaysia and Thailand, they are doing really good in sectors like electrical machinery. They are way ahead of India. Okay. Now, Donald Trump, when he got elected, he said that he might come up with some taxes, additional taxes for countries like India or China. Now, if you say, if USA comes up with 10% extra tariff or extra tax on India, it will hurt Indian economy for sure. But it is less, we can say, as compared to what USA will do with China. Let's say USA goes ahead with 60% tariff on China and 10% on India because we are friendly. In that case, whatever this is hurting, this 10% is hurting, that will be taken care of or recovered by this action, because when USA will put so much tariff on China, many companies will try to come out of China, and we can bring those companies in India through our Make in India project, or whatever incentives we can provide. Through this, we will have substantial FDI, substantial jobs, our economy will grow. So this is a very good thing, even if this USA China trade conflict takes place. And please understand one data line which is mentioned over here. It says that if you look at the entire world trade, 70% of that world trade is of the kind wherein India is having very less stake. India is having only 1% of the share in the 70% of the world share. Means this report is saying that there is lot of potential in India wherein we can explore different sectors, and that we need to do. Okay, a very important report and very important observations, we can say. Okay, now the last topic, that is the fourth topic. You say, why last, sir? We had 7 topics. Because 3 of them we had already covered in previous DNAs. So this is the fourth, last one. It is related to BRI, that is Belt and Road Initiative. Very important for mains GS paper 2, international relations. Look at this previous year question. BRI is sometimes mentioned in the news in the context of which of the following? It's a very easy question which you can answer just within 2 minutes when I'll start this discussion. What is the context? Why is it in news? Recently we got to know Nepal and China, they have signed a framework agreement related to Belt and Road Initiative, in short BRI. So this is a framework agreement. Before that, initial agreement was signed in the year 2017. So after 2017, now in 2024, they are signing something related to BRI. But first of all, we should know what is BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. So look at China. China is very ambitious. It is growing. It is becoming a very large economy. We might expect China to become one of the largest economy, even larger than America in all the aspects. Now, right now we are seeing China is having an ambitious plan. In the year 2013, China came up with a plan, a dream. That dream is named as Belt and Road Initiative. The plan is to connect China with the remaining part of the world, and that connectivity has to be established. The entire plan is global connectivity. So you see, if you just remove North America and South America, almost remaining part of the world is over here, wherein China wants connectivity projects are taken ahead with. So China is having money. China will put that money in developing infrastructure. So what they will do, they want to build, let's say, a road from here till this European part. So Central Asia, Russia, or let's say in the Europe, here in the Middle East, here in the South Asia, Southeast Asia, all this region, they will develop road, railway, all these projects. Okay. When they will develop roads, railways, all these projects, the connectivity will be established. When there is connectivity, then there will be transportation, there will be more trade, and China will benefit a lot out of this trade. And connectivity will ensure that China will not be dependent on other routes. So China wants to go ahead with a grand plan of trade. So in the BRI, earlier the name of BRI was OBOR. The name is One Belt, One Road. So there are two parts of this initiative. One is to connect land routes. See, from China they will connect this Pakistan, all this West Asia. Here they will connect Central Asia and Europe. The land part will be covered. And here in the Indian Ocean, here they will go ahead with what we call this one road. So this maritime path. So from here they'll start. So they'll reach out to the African region. From here they'll reach to Mediterranean, and here they'll reach to Europe. So there are two different things. So we can name this like Silk Road Economic Belt, which is this part, and then we have Maritime Silk Road, which is this part. Don't get confused with these terms, belt and road. You should remember only belt and road. Belt is this one territorial part, and this one, the maritime part, is road. Okay. Now the plan was clear, and China was going to invest a lot of money, and these countries will be interested. Why? Because everyone wants that money should come. For example, here we have Pakistan, Nepal. These countries do not have enough amount of money to put in the infrastructure. China is saying, we will build your infrastructure, we'll build your ports, whatever is required, we'll build. So they are also happy. Then connectivity will happen, trade will happen. After that, the relations of that country with China will also become better. Right? So this is the overall plan, we can see. Belt and Road Initiative. Now look at some factual parts wherein some corridors are shown over here. For example, this is corridor number 1. This is New Eurasian Land Bridge. Okay. Then second is over here, which you can see. This is China, Mongolia, Russia. This is a corridor of 3 countries. Then number 3 is over here. From China, you go to Uzbekistan, Turkey, Greece. This is a very good one. This is called China, Central Asia, West Asia corridor. Then the fourth one over here, if you can see, this is China, Indochina Peninsula corridor. So here you can see. Fifth one, here you can see Bangladesh, China, Myanmar corridor. And here in the Pakistan, you see China, Pakistan economic corridor. So these are just smaller parts of this entire larger project called as BRI. Now, why did they change the name? Earlier I said it was named as OBOR. So One Belt, One Road. The name seems like there is one country who is going to dominate, and that is China. So China thought the name isn't correct, let's change the name. So to make it little bit inclusive, they renamed it and called it Belt and Road Initiative. Okay. I hope you got these points. For prelims, you should know at least these corridors and all. Okay. Now, as far as our remaining topics are concerned, this India's strategic focus on West Asia, we had covered this entire topic in detail on 15th November. Here you can see PM's visit to Nigeria. So you should go ahead and visit this. So those who want to go ahead with this particular topic, you can find the link in the comment box. You can reach to this daily news analysis video directly. Okay. Then this Proba 3 mission launched by ISRO. So this is also covered on 25th of November, right? Same link will be provided. And this why global plastic treaty talks collapsed. So plastic pollution, plastic treaty, this has been covered on 26th November. Again, links are provided in the comment box. You can directly reach out to the particular video. Here, now some practice questions, mains practice questions and prelims practice question. So one question is, examine the key challenges in conducting caste-based census in India. Suggest measures to address them. So can you read this question? I would suggest please answer in the comment box if anyone is watching it. So when you are answering such question, you have to start with the introduction, which briefly talks about caste-based census. Either you can give a contextual introduction wherein you can talk about the political debates taking place, or you can simply define it. What does it mean by this caste-based census? Okay, and you can talk about the challenges. So they are asking about challenges. We'll first discuss all the challenges. That there is challenge with methodology, there's challenge with defining caste and all, there is political exploitation, social issues are there. All these things you can discuss. Then the constitutional angle of vision, that casteless society we want. So you will discuss all of that. Then give the solution. As it has asked, suggest measures to address. Even if they, in case they did not have asked us about measures, still they will provide some kind of solutions. So you can amend Census Act, involve experts, involve technology, etc. You can mention. And at last you will conclude saying that caste-based census is necessity. We can't neglect it. It is required for data-driven, evidence-based policies, to formulate good policies, to come up with good governance. It is needed. You can mention that. Okay. Then question number 2. How do cash transfer schemes like DBT address gender inequality in India? What are the limitations of relying solely on such schemes for empowering women? So the first question that they are asking is how these schemes address gender inequality. So you have to bring that relationship. So start with cash transfer schemes. You can give some examples of the schemes, or you can mention about DBT. Okay, and first you will try to show how it is bringing this gender equality. So you'll talk about how financial inclusion, we talked about that, data wherein these many people have become part of our banking system, so such data can be quoted. Then you can talk about these schemes also by state governments or central government, anything like this Maharashtra scheme, you can mention all that. Then mention the limitations. If you go back to the question, what are the limitations? So specifically mention the limitations. Like it will be a short-term solution, it will not solve the core issues, it will make you dependent on the government, and there are some exclusion errors. And at last, as a solution part, it's a good initiative DBT, but core issues needs to be solved. Those long-term solutions are required. Okay. Now, yesterday as part of DNA, the lectures the articles we covered, there are some questions for which we did not give you answer. Today I'll tell you the answer for the yesterday's articles. So, which of the following chemicals released during the Bhopal gas tragedy is associated with liver damage, kidney cell destruction, and brain activity impairment? So, the answer for this question is hexachlorobutadiene. You should remember such facts. Bhopal gas tragedy is in news, very important. Then consider the following statements regarding South Korean government system. South Korea follows a presidential system where president holds significant executive powers over national security and foreign policy. Absolutely true. Prime Minister of South Korea is elected by the people and holds significant independent authority in executive branch. No, they have presidential system. They don't have this kind of system. President is not that powerful. And okay, so just leave this point. Third, National Assembly of South Korea is unicameral. That means only one branch like Lok Sabha, and has limited powers compared to president in matters of defense and foreign policy. This is also true. So 1 and 3 is the right answer. Then next question about MH-60R Seahawk helicopter. This helicopter MH-60R Seahawk is primarily designed for combat operations and is exclusively used by US Navy. Now this is not right. It's used by US, it's used by many other countries. Now even India is also using it. So this is wrong. It is capable of performing a variety of missions including anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, search and rescue, logistic. That is true. The Seahawk is one of the most advanced multi-role helicopters used by multiple navies around the world. This is true. The term multi-role for Seahawk refers only to its combat capabilities in ASW and ASEW. No, this is not the right term. Multi-role, when you say, there are multiple roles. The term itself says this. So restricting it with these two, this is not right. It can do search and rescue also, logistic also. So wrong. So 2 and 3. So B is the right answer. Now you have two questions as your homework. I request you to attempt these questions directly from our website. The links are given in the comment box. Just click on the link, you'll get the question where you can directly mark the answer. So I request you to do that. First question is related to Belt and Road Initiative. BRI was launched by China in 2013 to improve connectivity across Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Africa, Europe through both overland and maritime routes. And BRI aims only to create a network of maritime routes connecting China with Southeast Asia and the Indo-Pacific region. Very easy question, I would say. And second, China plus one strategy, sometimes mentioned in news, refers to which of the following? Okay, you can read this, whether it is the strategy to diversify manufacturing or for trade of China, or it is to increase export to China, or it is to focus on improving bilateral relations with China. Very easy questions. I request you to attempt it directly through the website link. Okay. So this is all for today's daily news analysis. Thank you so much for joining. We'll meet in the next lecture. Thank you.